back to the old, stomping ground, back in the pump mobile, which technically never left. I was, uh, I was the one that was out of there. So, update on. Well, all these videos are kind of on a day delay, but this one's the day of because last night, on the flight back from Rhode Island, we kind of had a little minor issue, something along the lines of a maybe not a tropical storm, but enough bad weather that LaGuardia was pretty much nilch. But long story short, we took an Uber to Boston to catch a separate flight, which came with its own debacles. So I was already planning on doing a rest day yesterday, just from having kind of flown around and everything else. And it's not because I said, oh, well, I'm too tired to work out. I've kind of got a little bit smarter and came to the understanding that the dehydration, kind of lack of meals from having a day like that, which really I should just be better at being able to manage, but it would make that lift, I would say, actually fucking counterproductive. So if your actual recovery system is compromised to the degree where you're actually kind of questioning, all right, should I actually just stay home, rest, rehydrate, fuel up, and then come back stronger tomorrow? I'm starting to think yes, but that's a fine line. That's a fine line of a situation, because you can have the same circumstance be I've said this before. People can skip skip their lifts for good reasons and for bad reasons. Somebody could say, all right, I'm legitimately fatigued, I'm legitimately unprepared for this workout, I think it's going to be better to get a good night's rest and hydrate, refeed, everything else like I just said. Let's come back stronger tomorrow. That will be a better lift. That will improve my gains. That will make me fucking progress further into the future, rather than kind of just murmuring around the same spot for now. But the difference there from someone who said, I'm feeling a little bit tired today, let's take a day off. The difference is in the motivation. If somebody just skips whenever they kind of feel like it, then it's just not going to happen. But if somebody really wants to make gains and make legitimate improvements, then they already know this. You want to do everything in your power to set up your routine and follow follow through it if you actually want to make something happen. So that's where I feel a little bit silly even saying all this fucking, what's going to be better for you? The guys who want to get gains are going to get it. Because if you've got enough interest, then, enough interest plus you got to combine the fact that you actually do have to go to the gym and, work out on a at least consistently weekly basis. But if you just know you like it, you're going to get the gist of it over time. So that's where I think it sucks how daunting it can be for somebody who isn't, really fucking knowledgeable about the subject to get into it. Because, I completely forget about this sometimes. But even just going to the gym at all, and doing a workout and fucking, just doing a basic ass chest day, that's pretty intimidating to the uninitiated, because the gym has such a fucking kind of macho-y, prove yourself kind of it's do I deserve to be here kind of aspect to it, which isn't entirely negative, I think. It is kind of cool for guys who actually work out for long enough in the same place to kind of develop a little bit of a clique. But the part of that which turns anybody else away from wanting to come to the gym and work out because they feel like they're going to be dogged on by everybody else who's been doing it for longer than them, dude, what the fuck? That kind of sucks. But that's where I think it's important to realize, don't forget, you're the most hypersensitive to every little minor detail about what you're doing and everything else, but this is a good realization to come to. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is looking right at you or judging you because you spilled some of your drink on the fucking counter at the restaurant, or you fucking you dropped a fork or whatever, or maybe you don't know exactly what you're doing with the Smith machine, so you're kind of fucking with it for a little bit. You got to move the bench in and out a couple times to get it to like the right angle. Like, dude, nobody cares, man. Right? You're good. You are fucking good. And the only way that you can get a little bit better and more comfortable in the gym is by going. So that's where I think it's really nice to have somebody who's been doing it for at least a little bit longer than you. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's a fucking workout guru, but there's a very, I mean, it's like you're a fucking gangster, you know. You need somebody to vouch for you. And so you come to the gym with one of your buddies who's been lifting for a few months at least. He's comfortable in the space, you know. He's kind of, you're in. You get in there, start doing some curls, whatever else. Watch some. You don't even have to watch tutorial videos. Even just watching any kind of workout videos, you're gonna get the gist of it, you know. So that's all I'm trying to say there. If you're, and it's a large percentage. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably already, you know, into working out and everything. But it's, I would think that it's larger than you would think. The amount of people who are like on the cusp of getting that membership. They're on the cusp of going online. Like, they've gone to the Planet Fitness website and typed in all their info, but they're not sure. They shut the tab, go back to League of Legends, go back to scrolling Instagram. So if that's you, then this is a perfect fucking action statement or sort of situation for you to say, oh crap, Sam just called my ass out. All right, fuck it, I'll do it. Look up a whatever, like simple chest day, you know, random kind of shit like that. So I didn't expect to make that a little like beginner workout inspo, but whatever. So plan for right now is just cardio, and we can cut back to the house for some kind of post cardio meal. Morning weight this morning, after being a little bit dehydrated and underfed from yesterday, was 261. So that means I'm well into the fucking 260s now. Because, you know, sure, you can eat a ton of food for like 2 days and like really be in a crazy surplus and hit like a new peak weight. But if you go a day and you don't really slam anything too crazy, you're going to drop 5 fucking pounds. So the fact that even after kind of moving around like that and having the meals be a little bit compromised, which is my own fault, but, you know, still being 261 in the morning, empty stomach, we're on our way. So that means 2 months in, we're up 20 pounds. So the first 10 pounds of that, well, I mean, don't get confused. That is not 20 pounds of muscle. That's easily 12 pounds of carbs and water, if not 15. But there's definitely some contractile tissue in there. Now, I'm really going to kind of see how big of a change is going to happen after this bulk. Not from just how big I can fucking get, you know, in a carved up body fat, sort of softer kind of state like I will be at the end. What's really going to tell me how productive this bulking phase was is, you know, early next year when I really trim down and actually see the, what's the word? You could call it the butchered kind of fat trimmed off weight. Because, yeah, you know, you can see like a 16-year-old dude, 30% body fat, saying, I'm bulking to 280. But, you know, if 70 pounds of that is, let's just say, adipose tissue, you know, not contractile tissue, then I think you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because now you've got to deal with all that. Like, I'm all for a crazy bulk. I'm all for slamming all sorts of food and fucking, you know, putting on a little bit of flub if you got to. You know, don't worry about losing your abs or your veins, because you'll get to see that later on down the line. But there's no need to bulk yourself to the point of difficulty to diet back down. Because, you know, as much as I say, like, all right, come on guys, let's we're gonna, you know, put on what, you know, eat a crazy amount of food, whatever. You have to kind of reach a point where, sure, you've gained muscle, right? It's been 4 or 5 months, whatever, but you have to be within a reasonable leanness to be able to even cut down back to a reasonable baseline, which is going to change by, guy by guy. I mean, if you got a crazy fucking appetite, then to get even down to 15% body fat might be a fucking chore for you. And there's some guys like that. I mean, just luck of the draw there. But I think that in a bulking and cutting sort of style, sure, you want to gain as much weight as possible within like a 4 or 5, maybe even 6 month period, as long as you're actually gaining weight. But you have to be able to realize, like, okay, am I really getting any stronger? Are my pumps getting even crazier? Or am I just getting softer? Am I just putting on unnecessary body fat? And if that's the case, then there's pretty much 2 moves you can make. Number 1, reduce your calories, which I know that's the last thing you'd hear me say. It's like, oh, you're trying to bulk up, eat less food. But if you're eating above a certain amount, then you're not actually going to utilize those calories properly. They're just going to overflow into stored energy. Fucking getting a bigger fucking belly, right? Getting a fatter lower back and love handles and everything else. So when I think of a lot of stuff, I love a little kind of bar, right? Green to red. It's a very easy way to think about the levels of some kind of stuff. Now, you'll reach a point where, okay, I'm eating a calorie surplus. Let's increase the calories, up my calories by 500. So let's say if I eat 2,500 in a normal day, that keeps me my weight. I've looked it up. That's about right. Then if I eat 500 calories a day, I'm going to start gaining muscle. A bit of fat too, but I'm going to be in a hypertrophic state. I'm going to be in a muscle building situation. So an extra 500 calories on the top, I'm in the green. I'm good. I'm putting on muscle. There's a little bit of body fat too, but that's to be expected. Now, if I start eating an extra 500 calories per day, maybe I should start eating an extra 1,000 calories per day. That's going to make me even bigger. Okay, let's try 1,000 calories. Now that green is turning into a little bit of a yellow, because sure, you may potentially be gaining a little bit more muscle, but you're also going to be putting on more body fat. So it's like the more food you eat, to an extent, I think the more muscle you'll be able to be growing, given you're training yourself to a degree which you're actually stimulating growth and then recovering and eating all your food and everything. But at a point, if I took an 18-year-old, or not an 18-year-old, but if I took a 170-pound dude and tried to give him 6,000 calories per day, even if he could eat it, he's not going to gain more muscle than if he was eating fucking 3,000. If anything, the dude's just on a fast track to a 40% BMI. So, everything is within reason. Everything is within reason there. But little, I think 30% of the way to the end of the bulk kind of update. Appetite's still going strong. Food getting slammed. I'm definitely dehydrated today. Doing the little forearm sort of flexing test. I still feel pretty strong. That's I've said this a couple times, but if you haven't heard it, I think it's worth mentioning again. A really good kind of gauge that I end up using to determine, all right, should I do anything crazy heavy today, or should I maybe back off a little bit? Because sometimes you can't really feel if you're totally prepped for something. I mean, I'll see, there's videos of guys, smart ass lifter, and not a smart ass, smart, knows what he's doing, good range of motion, good everything, fucking benching, boom, pec tear out of nowhere, literally doing nothing wrong. Right? Same thing happened to one of my friends, Aaron. Not so bad. He told me he was benching just like normal, 185, still warming up, and for whatever reason, coming down on one big fucking, not off the bone or anything, but yeah. So I kind of feel like I'm doing a fucking flight checklist. Before you take off, you're checking your engine pressure, you're checking your oil, you're checking your gauges, you're checking your fuel levels, you're checking, making sure your ailerons going back and forth and everything else. So that's kind of what I do with a lot of my workouts, warm-ups. Before I do a chest day, I don't always show it. I should a couple more times, but I don't just jump straight to an incline bench and do 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, all right, let's go. No, chest, I probably warm up for 15 minutes before I even sit down on a chest machine. Because what I end up doing is I warm up my shoulders, my triceps, my rotator cuffs, my chest itself, my front delts, my back a little bit, even do a little bit of just kind of activation, kind of cable pressing. I want to make sure everything's in order, everything's working. Because once you start loading, we're talking hundreds of fucking pounds onto reasonably delicate systems, you know, not like nobody's going to just croak by picking up a 50-pound dumbbell and then instantly flatline. But, you know, if you're putting a lot of pressure through your whole fucking, let's just say strength system or whatever else, then yeah, I mean, there's definitely a risk for injury. So, doing sure, if everything feels fine, but I can tell on this specific day, like doing my little grip test, I can tell my forearms are feeling kind of weak. That's a cue for me to say, all right, maybe I should not try to do as much weight as I've ever done for this chest machine or this fucking, this bench or something, because something in my recovery process is off kilter, off, mismanaged sleep, not enough fluids, not enough electrolytes, something or other. So I'm trying to be extra careful. My rate of tweaks, my rate of injuries and self-inflicted random, setbacks is a perfect fucking word in the gym. That rate is decreasing fast. So that's a good move for me. I'm getting a little bit more cautious with the training. Not less intense, but a little bit more cautious, because the last thing I want to do is ever have something serious. Like, I've had pulls, I've pulled my hamstrings and my chest, and I've like tweaked my biceps a couple times, which in a way I do feel is just par for the course. Anybody who's worked out for a long time, they're gonna kind of pride themselves like, I've never hurt myself. Okay, good for you, man. Right? If you're lifting a lot of weight and you're going hard on it, pretty much fucking near daily basis, then yeah, something's gonna happen. But I'm trying my damnedest to prevent anything major. Right? If I'm doing incline barbell bench by myself, throw the safeties on. If I'm squatting, same shit. If something feels a little off, back off. Right? This is not the same as an honorable death on the battlefield, right? Retreat and come back to fight another day. Kind of shit there. But I got 30 minutes on the seated bike, so I think let's just cut to the meal, man. Nothing else to say. Yeah, there we go. So, nothing crazy. This will be kind of actually a little bit of a short clip. Every time I end up going on like any sort of trips anywhere, it always kind of leaves one day of kind of delay when it comes to the actual videos. But post cardio meal, or I guess actually much later post cardio meal. This is actually more like dinner time before I go back and do I think forearms and calves, but maybe a little extra something, TBD. But classic, kind of expensive though, kind of sucks. I love getting just 3 soft tacos: steak, cheese, queso, rice. And then with the soft tacos themselves, it adds up to like just each set of 3, about 80 grams of carbs or so, 30 of fat, and then it kind of depends on whether or not they want to skimp me. I've probably seen the full array of totally overflown, like more steak than I could ever need in at least a couple of tacos, as well as 4 pieces in each. Always a little bit disappointing there, but 3 of these, that'll be perfect. What does that add up like? That's at least 500 calories or so, maybe 600, but that's about right. That kind of constitutes an actual full-size meal. Because if I eat anything less than like 500 calories at one given moment, it's not going to add up in the course of the day. You got to remember, I'm going to be sitting here for, I don't know, what, 10, 15 minutes, just chowing down when I'm like playing on my phone or whatever else. So if I'm only getting 500 calories in at each given moment that I'm going to sit down, if I'm trying to eat 10,000, if I'm trying to eat 5,000 over the course of the whole day, what am I supposed to do? Eat 10 fucking times? I'm not going to say that wouldn't work, but it's just not very practical. So most of my meals actually should end up being closer to 800, maybe even 1,000 calories in size, because around 5 or 6 per day, that's very reasonable. And when you listen to like some of the older kind of old school guys, when they talk about bulking, it's not they get pretty solid fucking tips. Every if somebody were to actually take all the quality info from all the Rich Piana Bigger by the Day videos, where he's talking about increased meals and everything else, if someone could actually get that and apply it, guess what? The dude's gonna be fucking huge. But it's kind of a classic sort of approach to increase meal numbers rather than meal timing or meal sizes, which I haven't really gotten into. When I think of eating more calories over time, because that's what I've been doing so far these past 2 months. Month one, pretty much just ate when I was hungry. I'm easing my way out of dieting, but I'm not slamming a million fucking calories that I'm not even ready to use because my appetite still has to ramp up. So month one was just eat when I'm hungry, right? 10 pounds up. Month two, be a little bit more picky about it. I mean, month number one, I think I was eating like 3,000 calories a day ish, maybe like 3,300. And then that second past month was just kind of bounced around like 3,700 or so. Just because I thought I was gonna aim for a little higher, but I just kept kind of gaining weight, and I want to eat as little as necessary to continue to grow, so I have somewhere to go in these next few months. If I was already eating 5,000 calories right now, in 2 months, sure I'm gonna gain a bit more weight, but my appetite's gonna be completely crashed because I've now fucking overdone it unnecessarily. So right in the beginning of the bulk, I only needed like this much food relative to baseline to start gaining weight. Month number two, same thing, just a little more. So every month I'm trying to increase that differential, right? And put more food into my system than it's used to. So it's actually going to stimulate a fucking growth effect. Because if I'm just going to sit here and and I've done it before, unfortunately, but I mean, you got to learn things by actually going through them. My approach to bulking used to be like, oh shit, I'm trying to gain weight. I want to eat as much food as I fucking can. 5,000 calories a day, let's do it. 2.5 months goes by. I go from like 220 to like 250. Well, holy shit, 30 pounds in 3 months. Whoa, let's keep this going. I'm gonna be 300 pounds by the end of the year. But then what ended up happening is like after those 2.5 months, 3 months, I just had kind of overstressed my system. Fucking, I'm sure my gut biome was all sorts of ways around. Like any, I don't want to say any nutritionist, but some kind of like legitimate person who actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to dieting, health, and everything else, they'd probably look at me and say, dude, what the fuck is going on? So that's where on the last bulking phase that I did, I saw the easiest as well as the most consistent kind of weight gain. And it was from ramping up my calories over time. Month one, same shit as I'm doing right now, eat as much as I'm hungry for, get used to a little bit more calories. Month two, even more. Month three, even more. And then kind of taper it upwards like that, titrate the calories over time. So by the end of this bulking phase, I couldn't tell you where my calorie intake's going to be, man. Maybe 5,500. We'll just have to see. I mean, that's in like fucking 3-4 months from right now. So it's really just kind of a waiting game of, all right, am I gaining weight? Yes. Continue as usual. Am I not gaining weight? Or no, I guess, am I gaining weight? No. Something has to change. And when it comes to you know, your weight gain, at least in the lifting, muscle building kind of context, odds are the number one variable you need to change. It's not your training style. You don't need to change your split. You don't need to switch from push pull legs to the Arnold or upper, lower, whatever. The biggest fucking both hurdle and asset when it comes to gaining size and getting bigger as a fucking lifter is how much food you can eat. So if you can't eat enough, don't even think about it like that. Think more so, okay, I can't eat enough yet. What can I do to get more calories in? And fuck, whatever you gotta do. If you can't somehow start gaining weight, you gotta tip the scale. And that's where, fuck man, have some treats. Make yourself a shake with like a melted tub of ice cream. I mean, I've heard the craziest fucking stories. I'm talking all the way from like uh, Big Lenny with Andrew Calora hopping into the gym or hopping into their truck in the gym parking lot, eating sticks of butter, drinking gallons of whole milk. I think that might be a little bit crazy, but these guys were fucking freaks. So it's, you can follow the fucking path. You can say, okay, I want to be a real bodybuilder. I want to start gaining real muscle. I'm going to start eating just chicken and rice. Oh, perfect. It's like, I don't think that's the whole picture, man. I know, and I'm not saying this like I'm dismissing it. I'm getting smarter. I'm not eating so many just straight up sweets. It's a bit slower on the digestion in terms of like the carb sources, oatmeals, fucking pastas, everything else. But you can't beat calories by food quality, I feel. Now, it's a little bit different, if you're main gaining, if that's your shit, if you're just trying to gain weight slowly over time, then I would be much more fucking concerned with making sure that, let's say the 2,500 calories that you're eating to stimulate your training, recover yourself, come back the next day. Fuck, man, make that as good as you can get. I'm talking every kind of nutrient dense thing under the sun. I'm not totally certain if it beats a regular multivitamin, but like get somebody's fucking beef liver pills or whatever kind of shit you can get your hands on. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to bulk up and you're not gaining weight, your calories is truly the only issue. That's only the hurdle which is stopping you from being at least in a state of growth that you want to be. And I couldn't tell you. I definitely could not fucking tell you how many people are out there right now who say like, all right, I'm bulking up. I'm gonna start bulking up this month, dude. You're not gonna recognize me next year, right? I'm gonna have to get rid of all my clothes in my closet because I'm not gonna fit them. But I mean, with a lot of things, the talking is up here. The talking might be way up here if I can add a camera. But the doing's about right here, just barely above the bottom of the frame. So do whatever you can to get away from this fucking group and get yourself down here to the fucking to the whatever percent of dudes that can actually make this shit happen. But that's my little shtick here, all talking. So we'll get some lifting clips tomorrow. So summer's coming to a close. Me and Mark need to make a trip down to the pool, see if we can still bust out some fucking flips on the diving board pretty soon. So don't get too excited. That's probably not going to be planned for like tomorrow or anything, but reasonably soon. So I'll fucking see you next time.